I'm officially ready to talk.
So, now it says we are streaming. So,
Okay.
here's where I say, it's another ridiculous night as my round table joins me, Ben, the ridiculous Riddick, and rants concerning the nerd culture of yesterday and today. Joining me at my round table, as always... Oh, wait, no, none of you guys are the people that are always here. Lacey Dent, I believe in her. Lacey Dent.
Woo.
Woo.
Thanks.
Over on the East Coast side, we've got Brant Ramblin' with Ranch.
That's accurate. Yes, that's who I am.
Good. I'm glad that's who you are. And at the round table in his own little corner, James Capelli himself.
Hello.
How's it been, James? I feel like it's been a long time since you've been on.
Well, schedule conflicts and, not talking about Destiny typically is good for my health. But, yeah, I've been good. I've been, playing games, been around, doing stuff. I'm just a bundle of good topics tonight.
A man of very specific facts, James Capelli.
Yes. Leaving little to the imagination, James Capelli.
Yeah. Well, that's that could be good, that could be bad, depending on the situation.
So you know what I decided we should talk about this week?
I don't know. Lay it on me.
What are you talking about, Ben?
I thought it would be a great time to talk about arcades because remember
Tis
way
the
back
season.
in the day, Chuck E. Cheese's, that's an arcade, right? Do this?
I think it has to count.
It does.
It has to count.
Absolutely. Do they still have Chuck E. Cheese as an arcade? I know they still have Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes, they have an arcade section.
Arcade section, not a full-blown arcade.
Same with like Boomers.
At least not that I've seen. Maybe
I don't know what Boomers is.
What?
Boomers is a mini golf course that combined, it used to be called something Castle or something like that. It's a mini golf course on the outside. Inside, they have a whole arcade setup. Outside, they have little water bumper boats.
Oh,
we're gonna go.
okay.
I'd go to that.
I would go to there. But it's all kind of gone away. You don't see arcades like you used to, like just a standalone arcade. I mean, James, did you ever go to the arcade as a wee lad?
Oh, shit, yeah. My uncle used to take my brother and I all the time when I was a kid.
And you
Rocky's
would go,
Replay was the one I'd go to. That place was the best.
was that the one near Sevron Skate Center?
Yes.
Yeah, I loved that one. I'm surprised we never met.
Yeah. The tall people barely mingled with the little
Yeah, I
ones.
probably would have punched you, so it's okay.
Not much has changed.
I'm glad Brant understands our relationship. Brant, how about
It takes
you?
a special mind.
Did you partake in arcadery?
Arcadery.
Arcadery.
Yes, I don't protest. Yeah.
Are you an arcadist?
I'm an arcade. Yeah, but like Presbyterian style. You know what I mean? I'm a latter-day arcadist. Yeah, you're aware of the Hollywood film Adventureland?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was based on the arcade I went to on Long Island called Adventureland, which also had bumper cars and still like an outdoor component that I never saw because as a child, why be out in the light when
Why
you could
go
be
to the
playing
sun?
games? Yeah. When you can try to get enough tickets to buy a copy of Pokemon Red or Blue that costs 10,000 tickets. Come on, priorities, y'all.
Gotta love those
Seriously.
tickets.
That ticket markup, though.
Yeah.
Those prices.
The struggle is real.
Yes.
But you know what? There are still arcades out there. They're just not the same as they used to be because in Orlando, for example, there is Player One, which is an awesome barcade. It's an arcade bar that you go, you pay a cover, and you can play all of the arcade games. They're on free play. And there's a bar inside. And the best part is the waitresses all have to dress in video game themed attire. Remember when we... I think, James, you went with us when we went last time, right?
Yes.
And the theme that day was like the Mario theme. So
Something like that. So yeah, you had Peach, Daisy.
Yeah, and Mario. You had some drag going on, if I remember
Crossplay.
correctly.
crossplays.
Yes, crossplays. I guess that makes sense.
Or gender bent cosplay. Those are the terms. I'm on the internet too much. Who cares? Let's go on.
As long as we're
You will come across that type of thing if you get on the internet for too long. That's why I have to take breaks so I don't get that deep into the internet.
I hate
Yes.
when I dig
Going
myself too deep.
spurts.
That's what
Yeah.
you said, by the way.
You get the internet bends if you get up. You go to
You've also got Dave & Buster's, which are pretty common around America
That's
now.
an excellent point. Dave & Buster's is really big.
So
I hate Dave & Buster's myself.
I was about to
I
say,
think
when
Dave
was the
& Buster's
last time
hates
you were
you
in
too.
a Dave & Buster's? Because the last time I went, it was actually really kind of lame. Like there's one that I went to in the Sacramento area, and it was one floor, and it was probably it wasn't very large, and I didn't see that many arcade cabinets there. And I mean, that's the whole reason I want to go to an arcade, is for the cabinet gaming.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's all about get drunk and play oversized screen versions of mobile apps.
Which is crazy. That's right. I saw that giant thing of the Fruit Ninja that was still touchscreen, but it's
Yep.
like the entire screen is incredibly, just...
That doesn't sound
Wow.
a little bit fun to anybody else, though. Nobody else is like, that sounds like a kind of like a good time.
No.
Hey, they
I
keep
know
doing it because
maybe
that's what
not
makes
you're
the money.
going
So
for. Those games are also ridiculously expensive at Dave & Buster's. There's one in Milpitas that's big. It's I don't know how big the one that you went to was, but it's a really big place, and it's got a lot of good games. I'd say it's just that they are really not cost effective. You could do like a food drink bundle,
Mm-hmm.
but the amount that you end up getting to actually play is not very significant.
Gotcha. But, so, I've been to a really good Dave & Buster's. When I lived in New Jersey, there was one in, the Philadelphia area that was multi-storied, which was awesome. And, one story was full arcade, one story was bar and bowling alley, and one story was pool.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, that's cool, but again, it seems really expensive to go there, and... obviously, everything's not on free play there.
right.
Then again, back in the day, arcades were not free play.
Right.
They were just arcades.
Yeah. There's only, since being a real, little kid who, going to a Rockies replay and, having those arcade games, that was the best. Only one time have I been to an arcade since then that I absolutely loved that arcade. I was visiting family up in New York. I was probably about 12 at the time. And this was the first real thing that got immersive virtual reality kind of stuff. This place had games that were there was live action Street Fighter. It's you went into this little hole in the wall and stood on these pads, and if you punched, your character punched in the game.
Oh, that's so cool.
The responsiveness was absolutely terrible. It's you'd punch and nothing happens. You'd punch 5 times, and 10 seconds later, your dude would just start punching in the air because of how many times you're do something. And
That
figuring
reminds
out
me
a
of
move
Skype.
is terrible. Yeah, right. So there was that. There was this really interesting bowling game where it was this whole wall was 12 things in this bowling game. There's this pedestal with this ball in it, and you basically have to navigate your bowling ball down this crazy obstacle path to then hit the pins at the end. And there are cool little things like that. But far and above, the best thing about this place, and the coolest, no arcade I've ever been to that topped this, was you would get in. There was a Mech Warrior kind of game where you basically got into a small pod, and it was you're entering the cockpit of your Mech Warrior.
Oh.
And you multiplayer deathmatched with everybody else who was doing it at the same time. So it'd be 8-person free-for-all sort of combat. So I got in, and my uncle who had just done it, he was like, James, this is how you move. There's a lever down by their seat, where it's so hard to find. There's millions of button switches. There's no how-to video. But so it starts off, and I just start picking killing people, and eventually my brother figures it out. But I was playing with my parents, my grandma, people who had no idea how video games really work. But even still, the coolest thing I've ever done in an arcade. You've never seen anything like it, never heard about it. I just did a Google search. I can't find that place online again. It's probably closed. It was a long time ago. But she's like, man, if they made more arcade games like that, yeah, I'd go way more often.
So you don't miss? Do you miss going to the arcades though?
Yes and no. Like, I miss the feel of it, but it's just like, as an adult or having done more crazy virtual reality kind of stuff, it's just not the same. There's a nostalgia factor to it that's just hard to recapture.
How about you, Brent? What's your thought?
Well, I associate arcades usually with kind of childhood birthday parties. I've gone to Dave and Buster's a couple of times. I used to go to Adventureland a lot when I was a kid, and so a lot of my arcade memories are certainly wrapped up in nostalgia. I think it would be cool if I went with like a great group of people. Like if all of the Nerdy Knights of the Round and some of our IGN friends and other friends from various podcasts all got together and there was a group of like 20, 25 people, and then we descended onto one of the arcades in the Bay Area. Like that would be a great time because everybody's like, have you played this game? Oh man, this is a 2-player game. And like there's a kind of a sense of community there that I think would be really, really great. But I'm not gonna like go into an arcade myself and put $5 in the machine and get a bunch of quarters and be like, this is my life for the next few hours. Like that doesn't interest me a tremendous amount.
So there's an arcade in Alameda that is really, really
Tell me
cool.
more.
It's called High Scores, and they have a cover fee of like $5 for an hour or $10 for the entire day. And again, all their machines are on free play, so you just go in and play as much as you want. No need to get quarters or do anything like that. And the wristband that you get allows you to walk in and out of the arcade all day.
Nice. We should do that when I'm over there.
Yeah, absolutely. But you don't think that's... You still wouldn't be interested in doing something like that?
Not solo. Because I think a big part of arcades is the experience of like having other people kind of around you. And I prefer to be around humans that I enjoy as opposed to randos. It's the same way I like, when I play online games. I want to play with my friends.
Absolutely.
Because if they grief me, then I can be like, yo, I'm going to grief you right back.
I know where you live.
Yeah, 12-year-olds being like using words that are punching a little bit above their weight class doesn't really
hate
make
when
me
that happens.
pleased.
Yeah.
Like when you play Call of Duty on Xbox Live.
Oh man, you know how often I do that.
I know. We play every day together, Brant. Call of Duty on Xbox Live.
I mean, they'll never know that we're a team because I'm COD Bro 305 and you're COD Bro 507. What are the odds that they know each other? Am I right?
Right.
About 2.
What?
Nothing.
Okay, James.
What about you, Ben? What about you, Lacey? How do you talk to me? Tell me about your arcade feelings, your arcade fires.
Maybe it's because I got time on my hands right now, but I'd totally go. I'd still go. Alone, with people. I'd make friends while I was there. Probably. Oh, it's hard to say it now. Probably children.
Ma'am, please leave my children alone.
That's who's there. No, but that's yeah, I like it. But I also like the ticket factor, and I like deciding what am I going to buy with all these things. But I haven't been in a long time, and I have access to them, but it's a task. It's tedious now. It's tedious to go when I can just sit and play these same things right here.
Leah's sitting back there with her own opinions, just laughing at us.
Snickering.
Yeah.
If only she was part of the round table.
If only. Unfortunately, the table's not round enough for all of us.
No.
That is a really weird thing. It's not that it's not small. It's just that it's not round.
Exactly.
It's not round enough.
Some
It's
people
not
want it
round
to be
enough.
more oblong, and I said no.
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah.
It's round.
What about you, though?
So for me, I mean, I was never good at arcade games, but I always had fun playing them.
Okay.
Which is the point of video games, you know?
Exactly. Like, so Lee and I went to High Scores a couple weeks ago, and I'm sitting there and I'm playing Galaga, and I'm just like, well, I suck at this game. And then I'd go over and I'd play Space Invaders and be like, well, I suck at this game too. And then I go play Frogger, and it's like, holy crap, I thought I was actually good at something.
Not
Well,
even
Ben,
Frogger?
that's your fatal flaw.
Frogger was the one I was probably best at.
All right.
And then, what was it? What was the game? Spy Hunter? the driving game.
Oh yeah.
I remember loving that game, and I sat down at that cabinet, and I was just like, "How do I do this again? Where's my controller?" No, but I mean, like, so my favorite games at the arcade was always like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or X-Men or Gauntlet. Like, I loved those 4-player co-op games where you're getting from one end to the other and you're trying to stay alive as much as you can, and you get to choose between a few different characters, and each character does something different and stuff like that. I mean, those games were so much fun, but again, not fun to go sit in at that cabinet and play it alone, because it's a cabinet that's designed to support 4 players, and you're just sitting there playing all by yourself, and there are 3
all by myself.
Still don't see an issue with it, though. I'm having a hard time seeing the problem.
Well, I mean, those games were also really difficult without the extra, firepower, because it's not like those games scaled.
Also true.
Based on
that is a good point.
Based on how many people you had. Not like Borderlands now, where you play with one person and it's a little easier, and if someone else joins, it says, "Oh, the enemies just got stronger because blah 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 blah."
Here's an interesting thought. In that same vein, because that's obviously make people put in more money, more quarters to have the arcade make money. So could you say that arcades were like the original microtransaction?
Well,
I've seen that comparison been drawn before, but
well, then never mind. I'm not original.
No.
For fuck's sake. Can't even discuss it because it's
in the continue screen is in a way, but you're not. You're not really paying for power ups. You're just paying for like the ability to play. It's better than free to play, I guess, where it's just like, hey, if you want to beat Donatello, insert 5 quarters. You can beat Donatello.
But if you want to be Raphael, you can play for free.
I'm okay with that.
Everybody needs love. All the turtles.
Donnie was my favorite.
Yeah, Donatello's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Brent, I mean, what was your favorite arcade game? If you were to go to an arcade right now, what would be the game that you're looking for at that arcade?
I don't know, How to Talk to Girls. Street Fighter 2 probably would have been it. It would have been one of the Street Fighter games.
Basically the same thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Street Fighter. If Street Fighter's taught me anything, it's How to Talk to Girls.
Yeah, that's true. I understand that.
There's a lot of hidden depth.
Well, you'll be happy to know High Scores does have a Street Fighter machine.
Well, hot dang.
I was unhappy to find no X-Men, no Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was a Gauntlet machine there, but Lee didn't want to play anything. So
why would you go to an arcade then?
Yeah, we
she's not here.
You make it her fault because she doesn't have a microphone, so she can't defend herself.
Yeah, I was gonna say she can't defend herself.
I got your back over here, Lee. All right, insert finger into the view of the camera.
Yeah.
She said.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But no, I mean, there's always that one game that you gotta look for when you go to an arcade. James, what's that game for you?
Oh, I don't remember what it's called, but it's the sniper game.
The sniper game.
I mean, you walk up and there's just like a mounted sniper rifle on it, and sometimes you get it with they double up and you could verse each other. But like you could pick like which scenario do you want to go into, and I always went to the city. And of course you could like zoom in and snipe the bad guys, and depending on where you hit them, you get extra points. So if it's like a headshot, it'd be like an extra like a 500 point bonus plus the 1,000 for the hit. But like it would be really hard to like aim precisely on their body part if you just looked at the screen. Like you had to use the scope. But I played that game so much that I didn't need to use the scope. So I'd just be like, because they would show like the circle reticle on like the screen without the scope. Like so it's like snipe. I'm like, this is fun. Like I don't have a life, but I'm enjoying this. So for me, it's either that or Galaga.
I was going to say, I feel like I always saw you playing Galaga.
I love Galaga.
Whenever we went to any arcade,
dude,
that is the machine you went to.
Okay, we went to Applebee's. I said, if you'll excuse me, it is my 21st birthday, and I'm going to go play Galaga. And I did, and then we played pool.
Wait. You went to Applebee's on your 21st birthday? Let's stop and talk about that.
James, I went to Applebee's on my 21st birthday, too. So.
Was I?
Yes. It was
I did it
you.
as well.
It was you, David, and Amanda.
You don't even
I believe you.
remember.
Okay.
By the way, guys, humans, folks, gypsies, tramps, thieves, how have we gotten this far in our conversation without anybody mentioning Pac-Man?
I was waiting
getting
till somebody said, "Lacey, what's your favorite few games?"
there. Yeah.
Lacey, I would
what-
love to know what your favorite few games are.
I bet you it's Pac-Man.
Gentlemen. Space Invaders. No, my aunt actually had a rich little auntie, and she had a game room.
Well, lucky you.
She had a game room in her house upstairs, and
Nice.
she had several games. She had Frogger, Pac-Man, Space Invaders, and there was one other one that I kept looking to try to figure out what it was.
So describe it.
Doug?
There was a little bloop that went around, and as that went around, you had to pass the bars, and then the other one was the one with the panels. What's the one where the ball goes?
Pong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Might have been Pong. Might have maybe been Pong.
Wow.
But I would say this it's a good game.
You could have given me
right?
$50 if I had told you what that game was from that description without saying like the hand gestures. I would never have picked Pong.
No.
Breakout
Hey, man.
was probably the first thing I would have thought of.
Well, of course.
I
know
enjoy that you called the ball and Pong the bloop. That's I think the official
Sorry,
title
everyone
of it.
in the chat right now. I'm trying to figure out the whole Twitch thing. This is our first episode on Twitch, so while I figure it out, it's taking me a little time to do everything at the same time. So give me a few minutes, and I'm sure I'll be able to take some questions from the chat. I promise. I love
Are
you
people
guys.
watching
Thank you
us?
for watching.
He promised, guys.
I was just told by
Promise.
Lee that people are angry at us for ignoring the chat. So I am going to
How dare you?
to go find the chat so that I can no longer ignore it. There, now I can see the chat. So if you guys start talking now I can actually kind of look at it. So, who are we talking to?
The bloop game.
The bloop game,
Talk about
Pong.
the bloop game.
Right.
Pong's working title.
Yeah.
I'll figure out that other one. But I'm going to be honest, I do really enjoy Frogger. It's partly because I have a real special affinity for Seinfeld, and that's in there as well. It's just a fucking fun game. I can't help it.
I mean, it trains you for the real life application of not being hit by cars.
When you live in San Francisco, yes.
Yeah, no
It's
kidding.
an actual-
It teaches you how to cross the street.
It's a real trait.
I am going to pose a question to the chat since I can now see it. What are some of your favorite arcade games? Let me know, and I'll maybe we'll talk a little bit about them. James,
Yes.
what game do you have the highest score in? Do you think arcade game wise? Would you say it's Galaga?
Oh yeah, I'd say it's Galaga.
Do you think you could kick people's asses in Galaga?
A lot of them. I could kick a lot of asses in Galaga.
James,
yes.
I want next time you come out here, what I want you to do is I want you to go to high scores with me, because if you have the high score in any game, your name is written on a board.
Oh, cool.
And
I really thought you were gonna ask him to go to high school.
yeah,
It's like next time you're out here, we got to go to high.
gotta go to high school, man.
Challenge all
Gotta
the
go to high
millennials to
school.
Galaga.
I was like, where's this going? Did Ben get a job as a narc that I was unaware of, and he wants James to him and James to pose as high school students?
That'd be fun. It'd be like what is it? What's that movie? Catch 21
21
Jump Street.
21
Catch 22, same thing. So we got recruit we got recruit B10. He says, I always love arcade shooters in the realm of Time Crisis. My favorite and most recent being Ghost Squad. I can't say I've ever played Ghost Squad, but man, what is it? There was that restaurant in Orlando, Gators, that used to, they don't have it anymore, had a Time Crisis machine. And I just remember my dad and I would go to that one, and that's the one where you stand there and it has the pedal.
The
And
foot
you're
pedal, yeah.
you're
yeah.
constantly behind cover unless you're standing on the pedal, and you pop out and you go, you shoot all the bad guys, the terrorists, man. Can never let
When
the
I was,
terrorists win.
Back when I was in college at UCF, there was a bar on campus, and they had a little mini, like pool and arcade area. One of the games that they never got rid of was Time Crisis 2, and my good friend and I would go like at least once a week, and we'd play. We'd always make sure that our names were like near the top score. Oh man, we got disturbingly good at that game.
And
I think one
Recruit
time I
also
solo
says-
perfected that game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not a single hit.
Recruit also says, the pedal system for those arcade games was really cool. And I have to agree. I mean, when you're playing a fast-paced shooter game like that, it's not like you can do first-person very easily. But that is the way to do it. And, gosh, these games were
There
fun.
was
Do you remember when they tried to make Time Crisis for consoles?
Oh, that was terrible.
It was like, I want to say it was like three or 4 years ago. It was pretty recent.
You know what game they made for the console that I was surprised to see? But Area 51
Oh.
came out on the console.
Yep.
Dude, that game gets into some crazy levels. Like I only beat it with my brother once because we like rented it or something, and we must have done like 10 continues before we beat that game.
James, earlier in the show, were you talking about a game called BattleTech?
I don't know what it was.
You
called.
were trying to
I'm gonna
remember
look
what
it
it
up
was
now.
called. Some of the listener in our stream thinks it's called BattleTech, the pod thing that you were talking
It's a
about.
board game.
Maybe if you do the sounds, it'll
yeah.
help the name
I don't know.
pop up into people's minds. It seemed to work for me.
Beep boop beep beep
Let's-
boop
Beep boop bop,
boop
beep boop bop.
boop, beep. I
Uh,
believe
That's
that.
it.
Okay.
How? Oh, you guys are just bringing the memories back.
How did you know?
Nostalgia trip.
so, do you...
I think it was BattleTech.
Awesome. Thank you, Recruit. We appreciate your help there. Do you guys think that arcades are still a viable business now? I mean, obviously we don't see that many of them. And if you don't think they're viable, what do you think would make them more popular?
I mean, do things that you don't rarely see, like this. This mech game I'm talking about. I think it's all about immersion and being unique, which sucks because like creativity isn't necessarily what sells. Dave and Buster's has kind of proved that.
Right. Well, so
So-
we're approaching the dawn of Oculus and omnidirectional treadmills and things like that. Do you think we could see the re-emergence of arcades in virtual reality?
I wouldn't say re-emergence, but I would definitely say like it would become a niche thing. Like if people know about it, and it's like, oh well, that's difficult. That's a lot of money to actually make this kind of facility. But I know that in San Francisco, there's this place that does it. Or I know in New York City, there's this place that does it, and it's really cool. Like those, I could see definitely thriving.
I don't know if I've seen a lot of that there seems
barcades
to
I
be,
love.
because I think it's because I think that again drinking is kind of social and arcades are kind of social, and so I think putting the two together makes a whole bunch of sense. So like I think those are cool, and I think that folks who are our age and a bit older have some sort of nostalgic link to arcades that can be triggered. Makes us want to go play them in a setting where we're drinking with our friends.
So you think it's too late? We can't really get the younger generation to be really into it. It's just following
Unless you
us
change the
because
drinking
we're-
age.
We're older.
Yeah, I think we should change the drinking age. Why? Barcades.
Barcades. There we go. Write your senators, everyone.
Our
Change the
country's-
legal drinking age so we can have more barcades and kids can go to them.
Yes, of course.
That's,
I'm in.
that's what I'm supporting.
I'll put my vote in.
Good. I'm glad. I mean, what else is there to talk about with arcades? I mean,
That's a sad thing, is because they're dying out in a way. So you start to. It's not like new ones are really popping up unless you're talking about bar. I have not been to a barcade.
well, next time I don't know of any barcades in the Bay Area, but we should, next time we all go to Florida, do the Disney World trip. Player One is the barcade, and it's right outside of Disney World. So we'll have to make a stop. The other neat thing that we're seeing a huge not reemergence of, but growth in, is there's still a bunch of like LAN arcades. So you can go to these places and play PC games over LAN, which I think is probably what's replacing the arcade. I mean, James, as a place that we went to all the time, Hard Knocks in Orlando.
Love that place.
Not only did they have the LAN, and they had a bunch of consoles, and they had Rock Band on a stage. By the way,
fancy.
Hardcore.
And
Like
and they had
real performance.
laser tag in a warehouse.
Best laser tag place I've ever been to.
Hands down, I still have not been to a better laser tag place than Hard Knocks.
I want to play laser tag.
Variety of guns, different like weights for the gun you picked. Actually, had like different like
Pistols, assault rifles,
Seriously?
SMGs,
sniper rifles.
Wow.
sniper
They
rifles,
do have shotguns. Actually, they do have shotguns. They open up a third room that's pistols and shotguns room, and that place is
which is
awesome.
awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah. No, I mean,
so expensive.
it's great. Recruit says he thinks most of the draw from arcades was due to them being superior to the home systems of the time. Do you guys think that's true?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That in a mix with it being a generational thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's one of the reasons why I believe we'll start seeing arcades with Oculus and the treadmills and all that, because people aren't... There are going to be a lot of people that don't want to go out to buy that kind of stuff. I know, for one, I am not going to want an omnidirectional treadmill, an Oculus Rift, the hand glove mouse things, and all of that to play a game. But if, a couple times a month or, once a week or something, I want to go to an arcade and actually try this stuff out, I would go and do that. And let's be honest, back in those days, the prices of those cabinets, I mean, even now, if you wanted to go buy one of those cabinets, you're looking at spending a lot of money, more money than you would spend on what you have.
I've got a friend right now who's home making an arcade cabinet.
Oh, cool! With any specific game or his own game?
He's putting a ton of stuff in it. Like he's got like Sega games in it right now. Super Nintendo games, fighting games, like all sorts of crazy stuff.
So it's like a jukebox cabinet.
Ooh.
Yes,
that's what I'm going to call it. Jukebox cabinet. Yeah. Is he a jukebox hero?
Oh God, you took it right out
no,
of my head.
No, he's not a jukebox hero. Or maybe he's.
Does he have stars in his eyes?
Ben makes the musical reference before I do. We live in a great time.
You're just jealous, Brant. You're jealous, I say. Jealous.
Swoop.
So, say hello, listener.
Hello, listener.
Recruit has a question.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to pose it to you first, Lacey.
Okay.
The question is, what do you think would be a good price for each play of these new arcades you want? So, like, he's talking about the ones with the omnidirectional treadmills and Oculus Rift and stuff like that. So, per play, so I'm guessing by per play that we're talking about per life, because in those older games, when you die, that's essentially you insert quarter to continue. How much?
Ooh.
Because obviously, back in the day, a quarter was a decent amount of money to put into a game. And now we're talking about a very expensive piece of equipment that is going to take a lot of maintenance, especially if there are a bunch of different people walking on it, using it.
Yes.
So, how much per play?
Oh, I don't think you can go more than... Let's see, we're talking per play, per life? No,
yeah.
per life.
Per life.
Per life. You got to make it easy too, because you don't want bills and
quarters.
coins.
Yeah.
So I'd say you got to go $1.
$1?
I'd say $1.
These things would do what a lot of arcades do nowadays, which is you get like your own little, credit card.
Because I mean, you can't. You gotta incorporate the time that you gotta get a feel for it and learn on it, and you're gonna die immediately the first couple of times. You just blew through $5 and you haven't even gotten the opportunity to really play.
So here we're thinking now, we might have to change what the per play means. So maybe instead of per life, there's a time limit. Like, let's say each play is... What's a good amount of time? 10 minutes? 5 minutes?
Depends on the kind of game you're playing.
It depends on the game that you're playing, the extensity of it.
Is this a shooter? Is this a...
Let's be honest. Let's say arcade style game, because you're not going to go into an arcade and play Mass Effect on Oculus Rift or something like that. You're not going to play something super heavy story driven. You're going to play something that is an arcade game, be it like Time Crisis, where you're trying to shoot as many enemies as possible, or like Frogger, where you're trying to get as many frogs across the street as possible. You're not going to be playing something story heavy.
5 minutes, maybe 7. I think 10's too much.
I think 5 is a good number. 5 minutes.
If it was something that players could jump in and out of, you could do 10 minutes. Again, people who make these things could get very creative.
Yeah. I agree. I still think, like, with the arcade-style game, you could pay per life. I mean, you still invested in learning the game in the old arcades where you put a quarter in, and you're like, oh, what's this, what is this game? This sniper game where I have to shoot the things and, live. You still have to learn that. You're going to put the quarter in the first time. It's going to be, oh, crap, I already died? Okay, but I get it now. You put another quarter in, and you figure it out. That's how arcades have thrived.
But wasn't part of the concept that it was the kids' like, for me at least, it was like the kids' money. Like, you went there with your allowance and stuff. So if you're gonna up the per play or per life, then you're relying on the parents to front up this money to a certain extent, because kids aren't, well, I guess maybe kids are walking around with that much, but quarter is a lot different than $5 to play one game.
But they also
exactly.
Well, you take that out of their hands and break it on the ground and then send them to the arcade.
No more video games. No, go play video games.
Not these games. Those.
I mean, when I was in high school, I would use my money to go to Hard Knocks and play games and laser tag and stuff.
Yeah,
that was not new to me.
And I mean, what you did with that allowance, and Leave for Vendetta in the stream, she says, I mean, putting it on using a credit-like card at these arcades is going to be super easy, because it's easy to swipe a card. People don't think about it; they just do it.
Right. Another thing to think about is, are you going to allow small children on your omnidirectional treadmills and virtual reality? Like, if a kid's playing an arcade machine, like, the worst thing that tends to happen will be this button stops dying, and that's after a lot of use.
Well, that's what I was talking about with the maintenance. These machines
could be like a bit more fragile, and that's going to be a lot of upkeep, but the technology's not really there to know how durable it is, or like, is it easy for a kid to walk on an omnidirectional treadmill?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I brought up when I asked for the price. It's like you do have to bring the maintenance of it into your mind, because they're not going to be cheap, and they are going to be fragile, like you said, because for whatever reason, we haven't built things to last anymore. We've just built things to do more.
Right. So then, do you think that these virtual reality arcades would do better in the kind of, like, what they... or to be based on an old arcade system where they've got, like, 50 of them set up across this giant building, and you just go and pick one and whatever? Or do you do something more along the lines of, you reserve this place for an hour with you and friends, and you, like, just go in and have fun and play, and you pay, like, $25-50 an hour?
So My question is, why can't you do it both ways? I mean, like, for parties, you can rent it out for what you're saying. You know, rent it out for a few hours and everything's on free play. But, you know, you're going to need to have the public to be able to come in and out to actually try the stuff before they would do a party there. And, I mean, who's to say they can't do the time thing, where you walk in and you get a card, it has a certain amount of time on it, you pay for the time, you swipe the card, and when you stop playing, you get a new time balance.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? I mean, I could see something like that working.
I could see a lot of things working. It's all going to kind of be based on the technology and how you want to manage it.
Right.
You know.
Brant, you've been really quiet about all this.
What's wrong, buddy?
What's wrong? So many things. I don't know how popular it would be, so I'm listening to you guys because I don't know if this would work.
Well, what would make it work for you?
What would make it work for me? I just don't know how. I think we referenced this earlier, but I don't know how popular arcades would be with kids because their attention is so fractured by access to media, kind of like all over the place all the time. And so that's kind of what's interesting. I mean, what you're discussing would be opening them up to something that they can't just get on like a phone. It would be like a whole big experience thing. But how often could they kind of like afford to do that? And then I'm just trying to think of like the maintenance fees and upkeeping everything. All the logistics are where I'm getting tripped up. But I'd love for it to happen. Fuck it.
Yeah, because then do you make it an age thing if you're concerned about the upkeep of having, like James said, having younger kids that are playing on it? Then do you look at restricting that or do you?
And Dave & Buster's has the age restriction.
But that starts at a certain time, though. Like,
right.
And it's only for they do that because of alcohol, so they don't have to really worry about who they're serving.
Okay, so Recruit's bringing up a good point. It's a very difficult question that we're asking here. At some point, our conversation is becoming less about the arcades, more about the economy in general. So let's talk about the arcade. Brant?
Okay.
No, I want to talk about the economy. These are
it's a wreck, and we need to fix it.
The American dollar is declining.
Yeah, these are troubling times.
Quite
frankly, I don't know.
We're not talking
yeah, exactly.
about the
I think this arcade talk is hogwash. We got problems. We got real infrastructural problems. I think we're the ones who are here to solve them.
I think you're right. The four of us and the little Pac-Man thing going on in the corner that only I can see.
Yeah, we're the crusading capitalists of the round or whatever the fuck we are. We got to save this. We got to turn this thing around. Turn this truck around.
So here's an interesting thought. All this talk about, well, it all matters on the niche you bring up and the market you kind of go into and the technology. It made me think about, one thing that's become really popular that I love a lot are the puzzle escape rooms. And I can do a whole episode on those, but I really enjoy them. So do you think you could do virtual reality kinds of things like that and, make these things into really interesting interactive puzzles?
I don't know if the tech is there, but that would be kind of cool. I want to do a puzzle room real bad.
I do too. Well, Brant, we should look and see if there's a puzzle room while you're here, and we'll go do it.
There absolutely is.
Yes.
But this is something I can't believe you haven't brought up yet. Disney Quest.
Pac-Man.
Disney Quest. I completely forgot about Disney Quest.
All right. So the first thing I think of is the Aladdin game that you can do. Everyone's a version of a Boo on a magic carpet. And you've got this big clunky virtual reality headset that goes on, which now if you updated it, it would probably just be like
goggles.
This giant thing. Just be some goggles. So like the technology in that case is
real quick,
there.
James, for our listeners that might not know what Disney Quest is, what is Disney Quest?
Yep.
I guess Brant wants to go for it, and I wouldn't want to steal that from him.
Brant doesn't know what it is.
I would like to know. I would like to know as well.
Okay. Disney Quest is a video game theme park near Disney World. Basically, there's 5 floors, and each floor is a different sort of theme to it. Like, one of the floors is free to play arcade games, unless it's something that gives out tickets, then you have to pay for those. But the big pull are these very interactive video games. So as I said, there's an Aladdin one where you play a monkey on a magic carpet, you try to fly around and get gems to free the genie at the end of the whole thing. There's all sorts of branching different plays you can go. Let's see, you've got Buzz Lightyear, which is kind of like bumper cars, but with like cannons to make other people spin around. There's Pirates of the Caribbean, where you are locked in this room, and it's like you're on a pirate deck, and everybody has to run around and like shoot these cannons at these enemy ghost skeleton pirate things.
So it's a big virtual reality gaming
big
place.
Virtual reality video game
Outside
building.
It's in downtown Disney, right?
Yes. It's very heavily Disney themed. It's right next to Cirque du Soleil, and across from House of Blues.
So Disney Quest, Jungle Boy 21. Disney Quest is in Florida. It's at downtown
Orlando,
Disney,
Florida.
By Disney World. Just so you know. But yeah, I think you're right. If a place like Disney Quest took that technology and just updated a bunch of their stuff, you could have some really cool stuff.
Yeah. It's not really rated that well anymore because technology is just becoming outdated.
Right.
Which is a damn shame.
I've only been there once, but the two things that I remember really well are there was like this river rafting game where you sat in this like bumpy thing that actually shot water at you, and you stared at a screen trying to go down Whitewater Rapids. And then the create your own roller coaster.
Oh, yes. That was the best one.
That sounds fun.
The create your own roller coaster is actually in Disneyland also at
ESPN?
the Stark Expo. They have it there.
When it's there.
Okay.
Stark Expo is always there.
Is it?
It's Innoventions.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
They changed it to Stark Expo.
So point being, but that Disney Quest is not something that you can just walk in and out of. Like, you have to pay the cover to get in, which is
and it's Disney
price tickets.
And it's not cheap. Yeah,
and that was massively successful for a long time.
Yeah, I think it was massively successful while it was new.
Right.
I mean, it's still open, so they must still be doing all right.
I think they're getting rid of stuff. Some things get updated. Whatever. There's that lightsaber. They can't really call them lightsabers, but it's the laser sword challenge.
Wait, why can't they call it lightsabers? Disney owns Star Wars.
Oh shit! You're right. They can do that.
At the time, they couldn't. They didn't.
No, at the time they could not, but now they could, and I would absolutely go for like an episode 7.
So here's my next question, and I think this is going to be the last question of the night.
Okay.
I want you in your head in this awesome. Who's the dude talking next to his mom? That would be me. This is my mom, Lacey.
Oh, nice. I was a young one.
Yeah, you were.
Congratulations. I got an early start.
Yeah.
You've aged gracefully, to say the least.
Are you older than me? Or are we right at the same?
I have no idea.
It's for another day.
Yeah, that's a conversation for
I'm
another day.
making sure he goes to bed at a solid hour, and I'm also concerned about his nutrition. And we're sitting pretty close to the screen, so I'm a little nervous.
Right. Right. Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I want you in your mind for this arcade that doesn't exist that we have created on this podcast.
Getting ready here.
Yeah, I know.
I want you to think of the ideal game that would make you go to this arcade. And I'll go first just to give you guys a second to think, because when James mentioned lightsabers, all I could think of is sitting across from someone else holding a lightsaber and just having a lightsaber duel. Where you could also use the Force also, and it affected how you held the device in your hand that was the lightsaber, or something like that. It'd be so cool.
That's pretty cool.
And the technology's there. It's just obviously not an arcade, and that is something you could easily say, okay, this is $2 for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? James, what do you think? I know you're reading the chat right now, and I want you to refrain from using.
Yeah, no, I do like that suggestion a lot.
That's a good one.
But for me, honestly, like I would have to go with a very interactive puzzle game.
So something like your puzzle rooms.
Yeah, that would. Oh man, it's just if you could find a way to make that, somehow procedurally generated or something like have at least 4 new scenarios to do. Like I would pay like $50 to do an hour long, like high class virtual reality puzzle thing like that.
I feel like that wouldn't. I mean, I guess economics aside, never mind. This is ridiculous rants. This is not.
But like if you do it at somewhere like Disney, where that sort of price tag wouldn't be too absurd, but people would be like, "Well, that's Disney for you."
Or make it part of Disney Quest and say, extra $10 you do this, or $20 you do this.
But that is something I think people would pay for.
I'm not disagreeing at all.
Yeah. Lacey,
I want you to invent your ideal virtual reality arcade game in your mind right now. It's right here.
It's there.
Yeah.
I want to run across a virtual reality Frogger Road.
Hey, I'd play that.
What I would be interested
I'd play
in
that.
And you just become. You know what? I would like to do something like that. That was just like, you could pick the game, like an old school game, and it would become virtual reality for that game.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be.
It'd be awesome, James. You pick Galaga, and all of a sudden it sits you in the cockpit of
that would be cool.
Of a what do you call those things? A rocket? A ship?
Joystick?
A ship. It sits you inside a ship, and you're going.
Are you looking to combine the two?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to think of.
Good job.
I just want to throw out there that I really like Jungle Boy 21 because he agrees with me over James in saying lightsabers or puzzles.
Oh, trust me.
I'd definitely rather use the Force than play with a puzzle.
Combine them. Become a Jedi to solve the puzzle of Darth. What's his name?
While collecting midichlorians on the way.
It's very specific gameplay.
Blood injections along the way, so now we've got Bioshock mixed into this.
Okay, so we've got the lightsaber game. We got the puzzle room. We've got just any old school game injected into a virtual reality setting.
It would be condensed. You would have a top 5. You can't just walk in and pick any old game. But if the technology's there, why not?
Yeah. Or you choose Pac-Man, and all of a sudden you're running through a maze on one of those treadmills.
Have you guys seen the movie Gamer?
Yeah, that was a sack of shit that just steamed up.
Oh yeah,
everything.
I'm sure. I haven't seen it, but the premise is interesting in the sense that if you have such immersive virtual reality to turn it into a high grade esports sort of thing, do you think that could catch on?
I think absolutely. I think it would be very easy for that to catch on, and I mean, then at least esports is more like a sport, where you actually have to do something physical.
EA Sports, it's in the game.
Thanks, Brant.
Thanks,
You're
Brant.
absolutely right, Brant. So we've come up with all these ideas. Now it's time for you. Invent your ideal virtual reality arcade game. Go.
Some sort of play on Minecraft. I don't know how that would work in an arcade setting. I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of that. But to build your own world using those types of tools would be fucking.
What if there
dope.
was okay? So I've got it for you, Brant. This is how it works. There's four stations, Oculus Rift, and the special gloves and everything. And the arcade has its own world that anyone can go in and out of and create and build off of the world that's already there.
There would become so many dicks.
There are already a lot of dicks in arcades.
This is true. Have you ever looked at the little Sharpie graffiti underneath the joysticks?
No.
A lot of wieners.
There are a lot of wieners. Yeah. And probably now, because of Reddit, there are probably some dick butts.
That's what I was thinking.
Dick butts?
Gotta love that dick butt.
But dick butt's no longer offensive.
Lacey was thinking of the dick butts.
He's adorable.
It's just
Dick butt is fucking cute. Right?
I don't know if I'd go that far.
He's just, there.
He's just
waving
not
his
offensive.
Little...
All right, Ben, I'm going to have you on the record saying that.
Dick butt is
Dick
so
butt is
cute.
adorable. We're going to make a
Can I-
t-shirt that just says that. No, we're not. You're right. You are absolutely correct.
Hard pass.
So, it took us forever to get started, and I apologize. I know I said this was going to start right at 7, but this has been our first stream on Twitch, so bear with me while I get used to doing all this.
We're learning.
We are learning, and we're going to only get better at it from this point on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope.
So, it's been a ridiculous night, everyone. And remember, you can always find me, Ben, at Ben Riddick on Twitter. You can find Lacey on Twitter now,
Woo.
at El Dente.
That is correct.
ELLEDENTY.
That is correct.
Look at me go. I know the stuff.
2 for 2.
I know the stuff. You can find James on Twitter at Ser_Capelli. Underscore? There's an underscore, right? I didn't make that up?
Yes.
SER_CAPELLI. You can find Brant Range at Brange on Twitter, BRange, BRANJ. And of course, you can follow the podcast at RiddickulousRT. You can visit our website, www.nkrn.org.
Or go to rangestash.com.
I knew it.
Rangestash.com. Remember,
For all
guys,
of your assorted range needs.
remember, guys,
You'll know when you get there.
we are supporting Extra Life again this year. We're working on some really big stuff, including some stuff that you, our loving fans, are really going to love.
You should go to my Twitter and then donate through that link located there.
Or you could
Because
just
then
go,
you're helping out kids.
or you could just go to nkrn.org/extra life,
That too.
and you can choose your nerdy knight of the round to support, which of course should be me. Our goal is to reach $5,000 for Children's Miracle Network hospitals, so it's a great cause. Check it out. And of course, if you do have any suggestions for upcoming shows, please tweet it at RiddickulousRT and at Ben Riddick. I'd love some show topic ideas because, I only have so many. Otherwise, you guys throughout the week, check out the stream below this way. It's down there. It says when I'm streaming. Yeah. It's been another ridiculous night, everyone. And remember, you can't spell ridiculous without Riddick.
Nope.